Hi, and welcome to my September and October reading wrap-up. These months have been quite fruitful in the reading sense, and I have 7 books for you to review today. It might not be plenty for some, even if you asked me a year or 2 ago, I would have said like, what the hell? In 2 months, just 7 books, that's so low, but lately I couldn't read as much, especially with my studying for the university exam and all that. So if we take these things into consideration, then it's actually quite a nice amount of books. By the way, let me tell you about the way I review things first. Do not be afraid, there won't be any spoilers, because in case you get a new recommendation out of this video, I want you to experience the book in the same full way that I have. So there won't be any spoilers, at least what I myself count as spoilers. I'll just shortly explain the book to you and then talk about what I liked and didn't like about it, that's all. First book that I read in September has been Strange Houses by Uketsu. It's a fast-paced murder mystery. You'll easily finish it in one day. It's really short, especially in the way it's written. It's dialogue based mostly. So it's about this dude whose friend texted him a house layout that he's seen recently, and he wants to know like if there's something wrong with it because it looks kind of suspicious, like something is wrong with this layout. And basically this whole book goes around just finding out what's wrong with the layout and the really weird creepy story that comes out of it. This book is kind of interactive in the way that we are shown those layouts. It was really fun looking at the layout myself and trying to see what could possibly be wrong with it. It's nothing special, honestly. The only thing fun and interesting about it is those layouts, right? I love when books include something interactive in that way. Also felt quite refreshing for me to finally like a mystery, because I'm not a type of person who is into mystery books or movies or anything, really. I don't really have many genres that I don't like, but mystery is one of them. It's actually quite cool that I found this one quite engaging. But overall, it was just a quick read. It's good if you're in a reading slump. It probably will take you out of it. I gave it 3 stars, by the way. And also, I would recommend this book for readers whose English level is not really high, because this one is really simple. Also, it was translated from Japanese, and I don't know why, maybe English doesn't have enough vocabulary to capture the depth of Japanese, but every time I've read a Japanese translation, it has been like so simple and mostly A2 level of English. So I would recommend this book, but for me it wasn't something outstanding. So the next book is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Be prepared, my opinion is the unpopular one, because I did not like this book. I did not like this at all. I quite hated it, and I'm going to tell you why. I give it 1.5 stars. It's rare for me to give a low rating, because if I don't like the book, I usually do not finish it. I just don't finish it. But here, I finished it out of spite. I finished it because I wanted to know if it would get better, maybe, but it did not. This book portrays 3 different characters throughout centuries, and just their journey of becoming a vampire, of living as a vampire, of trying to satisfy their hunger, mental and physical. That's basically it. That's the 500 pages of this book. And yeah, in those 500 pages, basically nothing happens. This book is supposed to be, well, at least in my perspective, how I see it, a character-driven book, right? But those characters are so flat and they don't go anywhere. They don't reach any destinations. They don't change. They stay the same throughout this whole book. They don't become worse, they don't become better, they just stay the same. And you would think that we would get to know these characters, right? Because it's, after all, character driven. There's no plot, guys. But no, we don't know them. I don't know who they are. I never got to know them. Yes, we know what happened to them in the past and what happens to them later, but that's not how you get to know a character. That's not how you get to know a person. I'm not just my experiences, you know. I need to have a personality too, right? Her whole personality is just being toxic, which could have been portrayed so beautifully. And by the way, I do not have problems with the writing. The writing style is beautiful. It's really captivating, and for the first 200 pages, I was kind of having fun. I was interested in where this would go, but it went nowhere. Okay, the sentences are beautiful, the writing is beautiful, but after a while, because everything that happens is the same thing over and over again, those beautiful sentences start to repeat themselves. I felt like I was having a stroke or something. It just annoyed the hell out of me. When I thought that at least the conclusion would have been satisfying, or at least interesting in some sort of way, no, it wasn't. Where the book started, it ended in the same place. I really wanted to like this book. I really wanted to like this book, especially that I read Vicious by V. Schwab, and it was amazing. It was a 5-star read for me. I have no notes. It was lovely. I gave this 1.5 just for the reason that it has queer women and for the vibe. The vibe was beautiful. It's a dark, vampire, toxic book. Honestly, if it was like 100 pages of vibes, I would have given it more. I would have liked it better, but it's not. And by the way, I love character-driven books. I myself pick books that are character-driven because that's the type of books that I like. For me, characters are more important than the plot, and it's my personal opinion. I like reading books with complex characters, and I don't care sometimes if the plot is kind of bland, you know, if the characters are interesting and I'm so curious about where they would go, I'm curious about their inner monologue, then I would read 1,000 pages of that character's thoughts, you know what I mean? But here I would never again. This is my personal hell. I'm very curious if you have read this book and about your opinion and why you liked it or didn't like it. Because if you liked it, please tell me why. Please explain to me why. What was so good about it, because I can't see it. So after this traumatizing book, I needed to read something sweet and funny because I knew that I would get into a reading slump if I didn't. So the next book I read was Passion Project by London Sperry. I gave it 3.75 stars. This is a book about this girl, Bennett. She's full on depressed. She has lost the person dearest to her, and she has no goals now, no inspirations, no passions. She works at a temp job just trying to stay alive in New York. She distanced herself from her friends, and she lives every day like in a repeated cycle. But then one of her friends kind of makes her go on this blind date with this dude, and this dude's name is Henry, and their meetup is quite chaotic. But then together they go on this journey of finding passion for Bennett and find a reason for her to live. Because how can we live in this life if we don't have any passions and aspirations, right? So this book has been really sweet. It has been really emotional. I found Bennett to be really relatable, and I think everyone would find themselves in her in one way or another, because aren't we all just lost in trying to find our passions? So this book takes the topic of mental health really gently, and I really liked the way they portrayed it, because sometimes Bennett could have been quite annoying. Her decisions and actions were sometimes stupid and weird, and I was annoyed with her. But then the thought that like she's not in a good state right now, and when we are in bad situations, sometimes we make bad choices because we're just not in the space to think clearly, and that was really realistic of this book. I gave it 3.75. For example, right now it's been a month since I read it and I just don't really remember it, you know? But I would recommend it for sure. But if you are not in a good place right now, if you want something funny, it's not one for you. I would not count it as a rom-com. It of course had funny moments and all of that, but it's mostly about our main character, Bennett, finding herself, finding her passion, finding a reason to live, and struggling with her grief. So these are the trigger warnings, you know, mental health, grief. The next book is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. So this book was advertised to me as kind of Sleeping in Seattle type of book, and I loved Sleeping in Seattle. It's a movie, by the way. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's lovely, and the start of this book is very similar to Sleeping in Seattle. So let me tell you, there's this woman, she's a single mom, and she's been single for a while, and she has a daughter who's like 12 or something, and one time at night, her daughter starts talking to someone on the phone, and our main character, Lucy, she's like weirded out and goes into her room and says, "Who are you talking to in the middle of the night?" And then she takes the phone, and apparently this is a romance radio station. Her daughter called the radio station for her mom to find love. So this book was so sweet. It was super sweet. I gave it 3.75, but for different reasons than Passion Project. But when Passion Project was more about like mental health and overcoming bad times, First Time Color is just sweet. So what I found refreshing about it is the situation that our single mom is in. I usually do not like accidental pregnancies. I don't like having just children involved, but this one has been really sweet, especially the dynamic between her and her daughter's dad is really refreshing. I've never seen it done like this, and you should read it to find out. I will not tell you. The only problem I have with this book is that it's too long. It should have been 100 pages less. It just dragged out too long. I feel like if it would be 100 pages less, then it would have been perfect. I would have given it 4.5 or something. And the 0.5, why I'm taking it, it has too much smut. I'm not a smut hater, but I'm not a smut lover either. I do not see a point of having them doing the same thing a bunch of times. Like, I'm bored reading that stuff. That's just my preference, so I really recommend this one. It's just so fun. I just now understood that I didn't say anything about our main lead. So our main lead, Aiden, he's this romance radio show host, but there is a problem. He fell out of love with love. He doesn't believe in love anymore, and yeah, that's hard when you are a host of a love show, right? And our main character, Lucy, he's a total romantic, and it was really cute having a person who doesn't believe in love anymore start to believe in it once the right person comes into the picture. The next book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I gave it 3.5 stars. So our main character, Winnow, she's struggling. She needs to become a columnist in this gazette because her family is struggling. Her brother is fighting in the war, and her mom is an alcoholic, so she's the only one who could support her and her family, and she needs this title of a columnist to do that. But unfortunately, it's not easy to get this job because she has a rival there, and it's this dude Raman, and he also wants to become a columnist, and he was also really good at it. So basically, you can understand that they have this rival dynamic going on. In this world, it's a magical world. The war is actually not like the basic war that we know of. In this world, this war started because of gods that came out of the earth, underworld. I don't remember where they came from, but and they started to hypnotize people to fight for them, and so that's how our girl's Winnow's brother went off to war, and she really misses him. She writes letters to him. She puts those letters in the closet, and then after a while they disappear. And where they disappear to, I won't tell you. But one day, a letter just appears there. Actually, a letter that she hasn't written, and it's a letter from someone. Maybe her brother, maybe not. I don't know. That's all I'm gonna tell you about this book. I'm really scared of spoiling something. I haven't read young adult YA fantasy in a while, so that was just a nice flashback to my earlier years when that was the only thing that I would read. The rivals to lovers trope has been done really well in here. I really liked it. The characters are really nice and likable. I think it's a duology. I don't think it's a trilogy. I haven't read the second book. I might read the second book. I might not. I don't have the urge to find out what's gonna be next, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just, I just don't have that. I have a really mixed relationship with like duologies, trilogies. I need to be really captivated by the plot and characters to keep on reading next books. And here it was just okay. Sometimes it was just so cheesy that I could not keep myself from cringing. I'm sorry. The next book, not a book, it's a short story. It's The Overcoat by Nikolai Gogol. It's a short Russian classic. I don't know why I decided to read it. It just feels like a waste having Russian as my first language and not reading Russian classical literature, right? Stay tuned. I will have more Russian literature coming in my reading wrap-ups. that's for sure. I give it 4 stars. It feels wrong rating classical literature, by the way. It feels like I'm not qualified, but I liked it a lot. It was short, it was like 50 pages maybe, and this was so fucking depressing. It's about this dude. It's his job bullies him, no one likes him, he doesn't have family, he doesn't have much money, and the only happiness in his life is his coat, but then it's taken away from him, and it's just so sad. It's so sad. This character, I felt for him so much. I felt for him. Some would say that it's his fault for living such a miserable life, but honestly, I do not agree, because some people are just gentle, and why do they have to change the essence of their soul just to fit in with those cruel, stone-hearted people? Next up, I've got Juniper&Thorn by Ava Reed. I gave it 4.5, and I will tell you why I reduced those 0.5 stars, because I have a reason. I could have taken away more, but I didn't. This book is a gothic retelling of the juniper tree, apparently. So it follows Marlinchen, I think that's how it's pronounced. Marlinchen and her 2 sisters, they're witches, and they live with their wizard father in this house. He's an asshole, he keeps them locked away. They live in this city that started to forget magic, so they're the last wizards left alive. Of course, when you live with a tyrant father who doesn't let you go outside, you start to sneak away, right? So for the first time, our girl Marlinchen sneaks away with her sisters at night to go see this ballet, and then some things start to happen after seeing this ballet. So the writing style was gorgeous. It really felt like a fairy tale, and the magic and the whimsy and the creepy descriptions of stuff has been beautiful. And honestly, I almost gave this book a 5 star, but the reason why I didn't, because the author used some Russian words in a weird way. It was just so cringy, because some of the most basic words were used in a whimsical way, which is weird, which is fucking weird, and it would take me out of this book immediately. I would just stare at the page and was like, what? Did you really just say that? Was I supposed to be like, wow, that's so cool, that sounds so magical? But it's like a basic word that we use day to day. For example, this city is called Obla. If I would translate it from Russian, it would be like, oh fuck. And it's just weird. Maybe this is a coincidence, I don't know, but this is just bad, for example. I hope there's someone who understands me. This is obviously a me, not you problem for this book. It's not like the words were used wrongly, it was just weird putting them in. I don't think anything would have changed if she kept on using words on English, you know? Nothing would have changed, girl. Like, your book wouldn't be less whimsical or whatever. Other than that, this was a lovely book. I loved it so much. This one is definitely the one that I will recommend the most out of this wrap-up. If you want to take away something from this wrap-up, it's to read Juniper&Thorn. So that's all for my September and October wrap-up. Thank you for listening, and I would love to hear your opinions on these books if you read any. Bye bye!